what do you think about recent findings about the Shroud of Turin? The Shroud of Torino, yes, the Shroud of Turin. So, what is the Shroud of Turin? Let's go to Google and see image of Shroud of Turin, shall we? So, let us go to our friend Google blank page, and we will say Shroud of Turin. So, this is reputed to be a linen cloth that bears the image of Jesus Christ. So, it is said that this is the cloth. At least some claims have been made that this is the original cloth in which the body of Jesus Christ was wrapped after his crucifixion and after he was brought down from the cross. And that's what left behind these markings that depict Jesus Christ with his wounds, the lacerations on his back from the flogging he was given by the Roman soldiers, the injuries on the head from the crown of thorns, and the stigmata on the hands and feet from uh, the injuries that were caused by the nails of the cross, and so on. So that's what the Shroud of Turin is. It apparently surfaced sometime in the 12th or 13th century, and it was immediately denounced by some members of the church, high ranking members of the church, as a forgery. But then it was, after some time, taken to be the genuine article. It was venerated and displayed in a cathedral or church in Turin, Torino. Then in the 19th, 20th century, there have been tests done on it on a scientific basis about to ascertain whether it's the real deal or not. Apparently, they have not been able to find any trace of paint or pigment on this, which indicates it's not a painting. That's something that was done in the 20th century. Then there was radiocarbon dating done sometime in the 20th century, which showed that it dates back to the Middle Ages. Okay, so the radiocarbon carbon 14 dating. So I think the Vatican gave postage stamp sized pieces of this artifact to three different laboratories in three different countries, and all three did carbon testing on this radiocarbon testing, and they all determined the same thing, that this dates back to sometime in the Middle Ages. So it looked like the entire matter was put to the rest. But now there's been a new experiment done on this fabric. X-ray crystallography, I think, and that's come up with a whole different story. So let's take a look at this article. Where shall I go for it? Britannica should be a good source rather than Wikipedia. Wikipedia. Ooh. Let's look at Britannica, or former British colonizers and occupiers. Well, let's see what they have to say about this. So blah blah blah, all that description and so on and so forth, purported history, blah blah, etc etc. Okay, analysis of authenticity. So in 2022, researchers in Italy published the results of a study in which they used the technique of wide-angle X-ray scattering to analyze a small piece of the shroud. The study concluded that the structural degradations of the shroud's linen were fully compatible with those of another linen sample that's been dated according to historical records to 55 to 74 CE. And environmental carbon contamination was suggested as the source of the discrepancy between those findings and the results of the carbon dating tests done in the 1980s. So this new study, 2022 study, its results bolstered the hypothesis that the Shroud of Turin is truly from the time of Christ, although the researchers made no conclusion regarding the shroud's authenticity as a relic, and also noted that further testing is needed to confirm their conclusions. So they have used a different technique, wide-angle X-ray scattering, to analyze a small piece of this artifact, the shroud, and the study has concluded that the structural degradations of the linen are fully compatible with another linen sample that's been dated to about the first century AD. So this is another step in the way, in the journey of understanding this particular artifact. It is not a conclusive finding. The researchers themselves have noted that further testing is needed to confirm the conclusions. Now, carbon dating is extremely accurate. but it can go wrong if the material has been contaminated with carbon sources or whatever from other times. So it's known that this shroud has been displayed over the centuries openly in various churches and whatnot. So that could have uh, introduced some contamination of the shroud. But and yet, even if some contamination is introduced, uh, the carbon dating results should have been mixed, not entirely conclusive, right? So it still looks like the carbon dating results are to be given more precedence. Maybe we can do newer, more modern testing through carbon dating of a small piece of the sample or something. But it's a process. It's kind of like the Aryan invasion migration tourism myth, right? New results come out and they seem to point in this direction, that direction, but overall, over the decades, the results seem to point in one direction only. Similarly, that's the journey of this shroud. I think it's an interesting piece of finding. I think more, I agree with the researchers, more testing is needed to confirm what they have concluded. They've used a rather unorthodox method, wide angle X-ray scattering, which is not typically what you use to date materials. So it's rather unorthodox, and it has to be corroborated with other methodologies. So I think maybe they can redo the carbon testing, radiocarbon testing uh, once again, and see if they can detect, uh, they can attribute the dating to contamination to the Middle Ages or something. So I think it's too early to draw conclusions based on this, but it's something that is definitely resulted in a big tizzy of excitement in Catholic circles, and now it's being regarded as something that's been um, yeah. So lots of people are regarding that they've been proven right, they've been vindicated, and this is the real deal. I think it's a little early for that, but look, it's a question of faith and belief. If you believe in it, then please feel free to believe in it. That's what I would say. I think it's still too early to draw any conclusions. And even if it's determined beyond any doubt that it dates to the first century AD, even then it doesn't prove that it is the actual cloth that was used to wrap the body of Jesus Christ, right? It doesn't prove that. But so that's why I say that at the end of the day, it's a question of faith. If you believe, then you believe. That's it.